Welcome in this episode 6 of our React Serverless tutorial, and in this episode we are going to be demonstrating how we can integrate the React router in our application. In previous episodes we have already created the front-end application and we have already integrated it with the backend. So let's see how we can use the React router here. So here in this diagram, you can see that there is this user who is requesting for our front-end application. The root of our view is basically the index.js file. So this is the view in our index.js file, and index.js is just showing whatever is there present in app.js. So that is what we are showing here in this diagram. User is requesting for the front-end application. The front-end application view is represented using this rectangle of index.js, and index.js has nothing else but the app.js as its only component to be displayed. And app.js, if we navigate to app.js, there we can see that there is this nodes component which is actually taking care of this display, and that is what we have represented here by green. Request comes into the front end, it goes to index.js first. Index.js is only displaying app.js, and then app.js is only displaying this green rectangle which is nodes. So that's our current flow. Now what we are talking about is that we are going to be adding one more layer around it, which is the router. So where are we going to place the router first? We are going to be placing the router here in index.js, and therefore the app.js would be something like this, and we are going to be having router present here. Index.js going forward would be having this router object, and router object would actually be displaying our app.js. And that's not all. What also we are going to be doing is that we are going to be creating another object called a switch object. So let me put it here, and the switch object is going to be actually around the green display or around nodes in our case, which means app.js is actually going to be displaying this switch, and the switch is actually going to be taking care of our view or taking care of our rendering. So thereby the flow would be, the call again would come first to front end or the application, and the call will go to the index.js file. Now index.js file, instead of directly displaying the app.js, it would be displaying a router object, and that router object would be having the app.js as a children of itself. And then inside app.js, instead of showing directly the nodes component, just like we have done already, we are going to be displaying something called a switch, and the switch is something which is going to be deciding based on the URL path that which component needs to be displayed. Therefore, let's start integrating this. Let me first stop my server, and we need to save this dependency of React router DOM. So what this React router DOM is going to do for us is that it is going to give us all the libraries to play around with router, switch, path, etc. Therefore, we'll wait for a few moments till the router is installed. While it is installing, let me show where are we going to put our router. We are going to be putting our router here, and this is also going to be router, and we are going to be needing router to be imported from React router DOM. Okay, React router DOM has already finished installing, so we can say React router DOM. But actually we are not going to be just importing router object. Instead we are going to be importing something better, and by better I mean with functionalities such as using the browser history. So we are going to be calling browser router for this purpose, and browser router would become actual router for us. Now if this integration is fine, we should still see whatever we were seeing earlier, that is on this particular endpoint we should be seeing display nodes coming up. Let's wait for it. It has already started. So let's go back to this diagram and let's see what we have done so far. So we have already created this router object, and within the router object we have kept app.js as a children. So till this part it is over. First we are going to be creating the switch component. Now how is the switch component going to be like? Let me first create a new file. And the switch is, by the way, one object present inside React Router DOM. So we'll not call our component switch. Instead we can say something like nodes routes, and we'll save this file and we will create a functional component for it. And instead of div, we are going to be displaying a switch. So this is how it's going to be looking like. And a switch would have something called this route objects. Now what these route objects are for, as I was explaining in this diagram, that using the switch we are going to be controlling the way, like which component needs to be displayed. For example, if the user is requesting a certain path, there is this component needs to be displayed, and for another path some other component needs to be displayed. For example, let's say the path is /login, then the login component should come. For the path being /signup, the signup component should come. And that's what we are going to be handling here using this route component. But if we just keep the route like this, this would become a default route, and we are not handling the default route. We are going to be handling some exact path first, and the exact path for our case to start with would be something for the root. And for root component we can decide to display nodes. And then we are also going to be handling our default path. And for default path, let's say we are going to be creating a new component, for example, page not found. So let me create that page called page not found.js. Oops. And this would just say that page not found. All right. So if I go back here, instead of nodes, we can say page not found. Okay. So if the path is not root and anything else, then we are going to be showing page not found, because that's a path that we haven't yet handled in our application. But for the root, we are going to be displaying nodes. Now this is something that we are going to be calling here instead of nodes, because earlier it was directly displaying nodes, but now we are going to be controlling the display through this particular component called nodes routes. Okay, let me see if the compilation is successful. Yes, it is. And we go here. Okay, so this is the root. So I have created an error. Let's see. Okay, I didn't save my nodes routes page yet. And okay, we did not import nodes. So let's import it here. All right. So nodes is now displayed for the root component. And as I was saying, let's say I am looking for something like login. The page is not there. So page not found, right? So this is the behavior that we have for our router. Okay. So this is about React routing. React routing has more features. For example, we can actually implement private routing. So what I was trying to do is login. Now we can imagine a situation where the user is requesting for a page which requires the user to be a logged in user, right? And in those cases, what we can do is that we can control the behavior of the application route. For example, if the user is looking for something like cart for a shopping cart application, then whenever the request is for cart, we would first check if the user is logged in or not. If the user is logged in, then we can let the user go to that particular component. Otherwise, we can do a redirect to our login page. So we can do all those elegant things later on, and we will do them when we already are there with the cognitive integration part. So keep watching the next episodes, and in the right next episode we will be discussing about how we can integrate Bootstrap with our React application, and we can start doing the login and sign up part with that.